What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything you need to know about, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. More and more analysts are predicting that we may be headed towards a recession because of how bad inflation is. And because the Fed has to raise interest rates to help curb inflation, and because countries all around the world are doing this, and because the Fed is now signaling they may have to raise interest rates even faster because inflation is at a 40-year high, and even a lot of other countries around the world have even worse inflation than we do, and even worse gas prices than we do. Remember, the United Kingdom has $8 per gallon gasoline there. Hong Kong has $10 per gallon gasoline there. If you equate what they pay per gallon to US dollars, yeah, I know that would be absolutely crazy, but that's what they pay for a US dollar gallon of gasoline. Yeah. But now we have a lot of analysts predicting that the US could be headed towards a recession here in 2022. Yeah, check this out. Yeah, as you can see here, recession shock. Bank of America is the latest major institution to deliver a grim warning for the future. As you can see here, in an investment strategy report sent to clients, Bank of America analysts warned that, quote, inflation always precedes recessions. Yeah, just what we need next, right? And the tighter monetary policy is being put in place to control surging prices make recession shock very likely. Yeah, inflation has been the bane of the US economy for months, and rates have hit new highs since the war in Ukraine has begun. The annual inflation rate jumped 7.9% in February. We don't quite yet have March's numbers yet, but they're expected to be even higher. And February's number were the highest that it has been in 40 years, but March's numbers are expected to be higher. And the latest forecast suggests that March's rates could be 8.5%, almost 10% higher than February's numbers. Yeah. And such a rate would be the highest since 1981. That is when I was born. Yeah. The Federal Reserve has been laser focused on the problems for months, and the central bank began hiking interest rates weeks ago in an attempt to temper demand and counter runaway inflation. But a lot of countries around the world, including Canada, the United Kingdom, most countries in Europe, actually started raising interest rates and faster, and raising them even more so before the United States. Believe it or not, the United States only raised it by 1/4%, and we're actually pretty late to the party. So I always get a few comments of people saying, don't raise interest rates. And I get it, because if you're going to buy a home, or if you're paying on credit cards with variable interest rates, which credit cards are, you're going to be paying more interest. You're going to be paying more interest. Anything that has a variable interest rate, or if you go to buy a new car or take out a new car loan, or you're paying on credit card payments, or anything that you pay interest on that's not a locked in interest rate, you're going to be paying more interest on. Yeah, or if you go to buy a new home, anything like that, you're going to be paying more interest on. But interest rates have been at historic lows for many, many years now, and that's why inflation has been really, really low here. The federal interest rates for bank-to-bank lending have been at 0% or near 0%. There's several different types of interest rates. They've been at 0 or near 0% here for quite a while. Here, and bank, or I should say that when you go to get a home loan, some of the home loans were less than 3%. Again, depending on what type of mortgage you got, whether you got like a 5-1 ARM or a traditional 30-year mortgage. Now those went up before the bank or the Federal Reserve even raised rates. So now the traditional 30-year mortgage is actually up around to 4.5%. Those went up before the Fed even raised rates. It's similar to how gas went up. So again, even before we made the decision to not even stop buying Russian oil, remember that we only buy about 3 to 8, or we used to only buy about 3 to 8% of our oil from Russia. Now we don't buy any oil. And the president decided to make the executive order to stop buying Russian oil. And then Congress, it took him a few weeks to kind of Congress to come to a decision and negotiate it. But Congress actually also then passed a law here, actually just a few days ago, to also codify that. And the House and Senate kind of reiterate that, because remember, executive orders can be overturned by new presidents. Congress can also, change laws as well, but Congress has passed that now as well. Okay, but remember that gasoline prices and oil prices had been going up even before we made that decision, and even before the war happened. Okay, so just when the thought of war was happening, when we go back here a few months, just when Russia was thinking about invading Ukraine, the price of gasoline and the price of oil was going up. And the exact same thing happened with interest rates as well, for pretty much all type of interest rates. So once they kind of seen that the Fed was getting ready to raise interest rates, banks raised their interest rates ahead of time. So same thing happened with food. So you actually can see here, global food prices hit a record high in March. Global being the key word there. So again, this isn't necessarily, if you're a Republican, it's not necessarily a President Biden thing. This isn't something you could blame on former President Donald Trump. This isn't really something that you can blame on Republicans or Democrats. This is just a recent article here from April 8th, okay? But this is, and you can see the record high in March. March just ended, so they're just kind of getting this data now. But this is global food prices, oil prices, gas prices. The whole world is dealing with this problem, okay? I know a lot of Republicans like to blame Biden. A lot of Democrats like to blame Trump. A lot of people like to just see through their rose colored glasses, or their blue colored glasses, or their red colored glasses, Democrat or Republican colored glasses. But the reality of this is that these things are going on across the entire world. The entire world, United Kingdom, Australia, China, Europe, South America, North America, everybody is dealing with increased costs of food and gasoline and inflation. And here's your headline right here. Global food prices have hit a record high in March. And a lot of this for food and gas is because of the war. Ukraine and Russia produce up to as high as 30% of some of the world's food. Yeah, check this out here. World food commodity prices made a significant leap in March, up 12.6% in February, or from February. Yeah, same thing, right? 12.6% in just 1 month. Wow. That is a lot. And this is for the whole world, guys. This is not necessarily just for the US. Of course, this affects the US as well. We're included in the world, obviously. Represent their highest level ever as the Russia-Ukraine war spread shocks through the market for staple grains and vegetable oils. The data reference was provided by the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, FAO, on April 8th. These prices were also 33.6% higher than those recorded a year ago on March 2021. So these numbers are 33% higher than a year ago. Yeah. And the FAO cereal price index was 17.1% higher in March than in February, driven by large rises in wheat and coarse grain prices, largely as a result of the war in Ukraine. And again, I'm not being political here. I'm not choosing a side or anything like this. This is literally written right here. I think this is actually a reprint here from Go Banking Rates. So again, it's not really a you know a you know a political context here. But yeah, you can see here, largely as a result in Ukraine, the Russian Federation and Ukraine combined account for around 30% and 20% of global wheat and maize exports. And the problem here, respectively, over the past 3 years. Yeah, so 30% and 20%, these two countries produce for the entire world. And that is exactly why these prices are going up so much, exactly why gasoline prices and oil prices have gone up so much as well. Even if the US doesn't buy a single drop of Russian oil, or if we don't buy any Russian or Ukraine wheat or sunflower, seed or anything like that, right? It makes the whole market price go up. And exactly like I have explained to you guys, if unless this is your first time watching my channel, um, the price of it goes up for everything. So same thing for, I'll explain this for, say, wheat. When the price of wheat goes up, it goes up for the whole world. Okay, so for example, if the price of wheat goes up to $100 a bushel or something like that, um, it goes up like that for the whole world. Just like the price of oil, when it's $100 a barrel, it's $100 a barrel for the whole world. Now, of course, that'll different currencies will sell it. Obviously, if it's sold in rubles or yen or something like that, it's gonna translate to different currencies. But that's going to sell for $100 a barrel in the U.S. And it's going to equate to the same amount pretty much everywhere. Okay. The U.S. is not going to, and remember, these are mainly bought by traders and oil companies. Okay. So yeah, it's not like the oil companies are going to sell it for a lot less than they can anywhere else. So even if the US doesn't buy any Russian oil, it really doesn't matter. It's still sold for that same price. Now, they can kind of try to bring it down by putting more supply on the market, which they've actually recently done here. Remember, the Biden administration has released 180 million barrels, not all at once. They're doing 1 million barrels per day over the next 180 days. And the IEC, which is the International Energy Commission, I believe, is also releasing 120 million barrels also. So between the two of those is 130 million barrels. And Saudi Arabia has increased production as well. So kind of a little bit, but not we wanted them to do more, but they said no, they're not going to increase it more, but they did increase it a little bit on their scheduled production. But all this has kind of made oil prices go down. But as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of this, but gas prices have only come down about a penny per day. A penny per day. And as you guys know, that's not enough. It's not enough. The problem is we're dealing with everything else is sky high. Food prices, the price of pretty much everything. And this is why 64% of Americans right now are behind on everything. And this is why we have so many states right now passing stimulus checks. They have stimulus check proposals. They're pausing gas taxes. We actually have states passing their own statewide child tax credits. There's multiple states that have that as well. And the federal government doing several proposals as well. We have proposals for new stimulus checks on the federal level. Nancy Pelosi has actually said she prefers a direct payment instead of a pausing of the gas tax, because Nancy Pelosi said basically that she would prefer a direct payment instead of pausing the federal gas tax, because that they couldn't ensure that the gas companies would pass on the savings to the American people. And I've always said too that I think, and kind of data shows, history shows, that giving money directly to the people is a much better way. You give money directly to the people as opposed to a gas tax savings where you got to go to the gas pump and save a few dollars every time. You give a check directly to the people, they can use it for rent, they can use it for food, they can use it to buy medicine, they can use it to help out a sick family member, they can use it for anything, right? If you got to pay rent immediately, you can pay rent immediately. You don't save a few dollars every time you go to the gas pump. But on the other hand, if your state is pausing your state gas tax, it is better than nothing. It is better than nothing. You'd rather save some money than save nothing, right? There are multiple different states that are pausing their state gas tax. And most states that are pausing their state gas tax are doing it in addition to a couple other things. They're lowering taxes for their state, they're lowering their income taxes, they're lowering their sales taxes, they're pausing their grocery taxes or lowering that. They're doing several different things. Some of them are also giving like a rebate tax, which is kind of like a stimulus check. It actually is actually the same definition. So a lot of states are doing several different things. If you've been watching my channel, I'm trying to keep up with all the states that are proposing or actually passing stimulus checks. It actually seems kind of like a flurry is going on right now. It's almost like on a weekly basis. I have new states coming out here all the time. Um, it's kind of crazy, to be honest, how many new states are kind of like, hey, $1,000. And remember that the states kind of announce it, and then they have to pass it in their House and their Senate. So each state has their own legislature as well. So House of Representatives and state, or I'm sorry, and Senate as well. So, and then they have their governor, which is kind of like their president. We have a president, a House, and a Senate. Each state has that as well. So, same kind of thing. They have to gather up enough votes to pass, just like our country has to gather up enough votes to pass. So you kind of got to think that maybe each state has their own Joe Manchin, and maybe each state has their own Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. I know it's kind of odd to think about that, right? That maybe each state kind of has that going on. We don't really think about that, right? But you never know. Maybe does each state have their own Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi that has been getting reelected for 30 years on each side? I never really thought about that. It's kind of crazy to think about. Yeah. Because, you really think about it, state legislatures, from the state Senate and the state House, they really don't get that much attention. I can't think of a single state representative from my state besides, like, the governor. Um, I can't think of a single state legislature that by name. I mean, maybe you can. You can think. I could think of my state governor. Governor Mike DeWine from Ohio, but I can't think of a single House Speaker or anybody like that. So there's probably a lot of Nancy Pelosi's and Mitch McConnell's on the state level that are like have been there forever for 30 years. And obviously Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, they have a lot of a lot of lovers and haters, I guess you could say. A lot of people, you either love them or you hate them, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, but yet somehow they get reelected every time they're up there. And oftentimes by a large majority. It's actually kind of ironic, they get so much criticism by the other party, but when they go up for reelection, they win by pretty large margins, pretty large margins. And it's almost Mitch McConnell got a little bit of a he had a somewhat close reelection campaign. In fact, the lady who ran up against him actually spent millions of dollars to challenge him this time, and then he still won. And now he's reelected for 6 years. Because when you win in the Senate, you're up for 6 years, and I think he's. Let me see here. He's 80 years old right now, and he's going to be there for 5 more years. So he'll be 85 years old until his term is ended. And I don't know if he'll run again when he's 85. Uh, but if he does, he'll be there till he's 91. He's actually a year older than Joe Biden. And Nancy Pelosi's 82. Yeah, she's tested positive for the virus right now. Last I heard, she's doing okay. So I haven't heard anything significant about her being with any significant symptoms right now. So, of course, we hope and pray that anybody who catches the virus, as well as anybody right now, there's a lot of people from Congress right now that are actually have the virus right now. So there's actually a lot of people in Congress that I guess spread it to each other. So yeah, it's kind of crazy right now. Yeah, and really, you got to think if we're headed into a recession here in 2022, and with a big election on the way, Congress is really going to need to step up. And really, it's going to have to be the Democrats because with the Republicans in the minority, I mean, realistically, they're going to probably just vote no on most stuff because I mean, that's probably just what's going to happen. I mean, if you're being realistic here, um, the Democrats are probably going to have to pass. I mean, maybe they'll pass the child tax credits. I mean, there'll be some bipartisan stuff, but like most major stuff, like a stimulus check or something, will probably have to come through the reconciliation process or the Build Back Better package or something along those lines. Of course, there'll be a lot of state stuff here. A lot of state stuff has been passing here recently, and a lot of state stuff is being proposed here recently, and needs to go through the process where it passes. And it's a big election year, so I fully intend a lot of this stuff to be passed here on the state and the federal level. So I'm going to keep you up to date here with everything. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I'm just trying to be real with you guys because I'm not really from either party, but this is, just how I think everything needs or is going to be passed. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. After you subscribe down below, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button, which appears after you subscribe, so you get reminders when we go live with new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next, or you can click here to see my video about how low and middle income can get up to $6,935. That's an interesting video as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.